Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, grateful recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day, guys. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, and drop me a comment, and by all means, share it with somebody who might get something out of it. I want to say thank you to everybody, all the new subscribers. We hit 1,700 subscribers this morning, and that's really cool. I mean, we're still a very small channel, but yeah, I've been doing this for about 6 months, day in and day out, and it means the absolute world to me. In the early days, I thought, the idea of having 1,000, 1,500, 1,700 seemed like it was a pipe dream, and we're hitting new milestones every day, and I'm incredibly grateful. Guys, today's video, we're actually going to go to the daily reflections today, and it's entitled Seeds of Faith. Faith, to be sure, is necessary, but faith alone can avail nothing. We can have faith, yet keep God out of our lives. Faith without works is dead. As a child, I constantly questioned the existence of God. To a scientific thinker like me, no answer could withstand a thorough examination, until a very patient woman finally said to me, "You must have faith." With that simple statement, the seeds of my recovery were sown. Today, as I practice my recovery, cutting back the weeds of addiction, slowly, I am letting those early seeds of faith grow and bloom. Each day of recovery, of ardent gardening, spiritual gardening, brings the God of my understanding more fully into my life. My God has always been with me through faith, and it is my responsibility to have the willingness to accept His presence. And then the affirmation is, today I ask God to grant me the willingness to do His will. And yeah, it's funny, I'm reading somebody else's words as though they came out of my own mouth. Before this beautiful recovery program that I'm enjoying today, faith was something I always wrestled with, and I say that because, again, same thing. I would put a scientific or visual based thinking behind it, and just be able to shit all over it, and just not want to say that I didn't believe. And maybe I didn't necessarily believe the direct teachings I was taught. But to say that I didn't have faith, and that's what I used to say, guys. I used to say, oh yeah, I'm an atheist, I don't believe in any of that. And that was never true, because again, I was very hesitant to pray asking for shiny trinkets, or to to outwardly defy God. But I wasn't leaning into it. I wasn't being faithful. I wasn't working or living in a spiritual or faith-based manner. And today I am, and that's the overwhelming difference. From that early on, because again, I talked about this before, guys, and there's a reason I bring it up all the time, because it was the biggest difference in my life, guys. I've tried getting clean, I've tried doing it through abstinence and early, other times through meetings, but I never leaned into the spiritual side of this. And today, I think I say this a lot, I believe it to be a spiritual disease, as well as a physical one, don't get me wrong. But, so for me, it was just, everything was different this time, guys. Everything leading up the last couple of years of my run were starting to, I was getting too old for it, and I was starting to change as a person. I didn't have it in me to be a bad person, and I was still using drugs at that point, trying to be a good person, and those two just clashed. I couldn't maintain that. So I had started to pray. Again, it was somebody that invited me to say a prayer one night, but I said that prayer one night, and guys, like out of nowhere, like it literally would just, my heart opened up, and secrets and just desires just came, it came direct from my soul. It bypassed my brain altogether, and that was the best thing that could have happened, because I felt something that night, guys. I felt lighter. I felt like there was something hearing me, and I felt like there was a little glimmer of hope. So every night there, starting that night, every night after, I continued to pray. I would say a prayer with somebody every night, and then little by little, that got things changing, and literally changing the person I was. Like, I could no longer medicate myself into numbness to not feel anymore. I started feeling long before I got clean. I talked about this before, guys. I'd come home and I'd have a big pile of drugs in front of me, and no matter how much I did, I couldn't get high. I couldn't shake the overwhelming feeling that I just couldn't do this anymore. I just didn't want to. I hated who I was. I hated the way I was living. And I just knew I could not continue the way that I was. And I also knew that I wouldn't kill myself. I just don't have that in me. I have too much zest for life. I have too much internal strength, and I couldn't do it. And again, that's because I had hope. I was in complete and disempowered despair at that point. I did not see a way out. I was absolutely terrified. I didn't have the belief in myself that I could do this, and that's why I was finally willing to lean into faith and ask my higher power for help. And then, guys, I didn't have a definition. I still don't. I don't have a definition. I don't have the definition. All I know is a power greater than I. It governs this universe. It is clear as day. It is visible in everything you look at when you're willing to open your eyes and look. And that was the difference. I started opening my eyes and started to look. I started to just openly have faith because I had no other option, guys. I knew I could not do this on my own, and that was the difference, guys. I was fully willing to. Before, I always said, no, it's a me problem. I just gotta buck up. I gotta, grow the balls, this, that, the other, knowing full well that I couldn't. Every time I tried, I failed, and that was where I was finally got the willingness to turn my will over, to give my hope to something greater than myself. And from the minute I started, I started seeing huge, noticeable changes. And they weren't easy in the beginning, guys. Like I said, I was sitting there, starting to feel things and having to acknowledge things and starting to feel things. And I'd, be sitting here with a big pile of drugs, and I'd just break out crying. And I just I was starting to have emotions again. I was starting to feel things. I was starting to... And that's what was required, because I had to get to the point where I was willing to go to rehab. Because, again, at one point, I was literally, guys, getting like it would show up everywhere in my vicinity out of nowhere. I'd hear these messages: drop which doesn't serve you, get off the, literally, I do just everywhere. It was just everything in my life was screaming at me. Now is the time. You got to put the drugs down. If you put the drugs down, that's a direct thing I was hearing, guys. I'd say my prayers and I'd lay down at night, and all I could think all night long, and I don't remember my dreams, but I just wake up in the morning hearing almost like a dream voice all night. If you stop doing the drugs, I will remove all the negativity from your heart. And I took that as a direct promise. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. And literally, I just got up one morning, and I'm like, nope, not going to do it. I ran out of drugs last night. I'm not going to go get any, and I can't get out of bed and do anything else. So I'm going to lay here in my bed and detox until I feel better. And damn near killed me. Hadn't had a drink of water in 2.5 days when, thank God, my landlord, my friend Doug, got involved and sent the police and the fire and got me to the hospital. Unfortunately, also, gave me some money, so I ended up meeting the dope man. And I came home and took a shower and did that bag of dope and found a bed in rehab the next morning and, made the phone call and said, that's it, I'm going, I'm done, I'm gonna go. And the guys, again, at that point, I was so cloudy, I had no idea. I was only gonna go for 3 to 5 days, but I ended up staying there a month because as soon as I got there, I continued to pray and ask my higher power, what do I need? What do I need to do? And immediately I woke up and I'm like, I can't even move. There's no way I'm going home in 3 days. I was still dope sick after 3 days. So I said, okay, well, let me take my definition, my ultimatums out of the equation. Lord, I'm turning my life over to you. I'm turning my will over to you. You show me what my path is. You show me what my next step is. You show me what I need to do. And from there, I just delved fully into my faith. And again, I had very little. I had the faith of a mustard seed, as they say so oftentimes. But that's all it took, because I had the willingness to act upon it. And that's the thing, guys. Faith without work is dead. That's what it means. You've got to take the spiritual knowledge. You've got to take the faith that you have, and you have to turn your will over to your higher power, the God of your choosing, whatever you want to choose to call yours. And then act upon it, right? When you get the information you know is right, when you get the opportunities to do so, do what's right. Do what you know is right. Every one of us has an internal guidance system. We know what's right. If you want better, you got to make change. You got to do better. For me, it was easy. I was beaten into submission long before that. So I had a full open willingness because, guys, immediately I started feeling better. Things started getting better. I immediately started, having that little bit of hope, and because again, all I knew was I removed myself from the equation. I turned it over, and so long as I continued to turn it over, I knew I wouldn't go backwards, because my God wouldn't send me backwards. If I took the reins, if I started to exercise my free will again in those early stages, I knew I was fucked. So I didn't. And that was where the hope started coming in, because I started praying more. I started reading books on scientific prayer. And guys, literally, it was just, you'll know when this happens. It's literally the manifestation of miracles happening from within, long before they happen without. And I knew it because no sooner would I have a thought like, oh, I gotta figure out the Bible. I don't know how to read the Bible, and all of a sudden somebody hands me a book on scientific prayer, and it like breaks down how to understand the acronyms and the messages in the Bible. Like everything I acknowledged, no sooner did I acknowledge it than all of a sudden that resource was dropped in my lap, and I literally was sitting in a rehab, not making, not doing anything. I'm like, huh. Like I started to feel like I was being heard. I knew I was being seen by my higher power because I was begging earnestly and honestly for help. I was willing to do whatever it took at that point, and that's exactly what I did. And it wasn't as brutally crazy as I thought. I'm not out here, knocking on people's doors, trying to be an evangelist or anything else. I'm saying find your path. It doesn't have to be mine. I don't know that mine's any better than anybody else's. I don't have all the answers. All I know is today I'm in alignment with my higher power. And that's all I need to know. That's what I act on every day. I've gotten 6 months of continuous, so 7 months, actually 7 months of continuous sobriety in 2 days. And things have gotten amazingly better. As a matter of fact, my brother, about 10 minutes before I started this video, sent me a message. He's like, hey, I'm watching some of your videos at work. He's got a couple different screens, and he goes, I got one of your earliest videos on one screen and a video from last week on the other screen. He goes, I had to call you and reach out and tell you how proud of you I am. Like, he literally looked 10 years younger. It's like looking at two different people, and that's 6 months, guys. And it's in the proper direction. I was already better off coming out of rehab than I was going in, and now 6-7 months later, I'm like a different person. My entire life. I spent today, I alluded the other night in the video to a situation I have confronting me that is something to do with my past. And what it is back in 1997, I got arrested for a DUI that I beat in Rhode Island. I got into a fist fight with the police, and the whole case basically got dropped because they basically put in the hospital and put like 27 stitches in my leg, kicked the shit out of me. I beat the OUI, but I never went up and wrapped up the case because they wrapped me up out of Massachusetts, so I never ended up having to pay any of the fines, and now as a result, as they are changing computers and everything, it's going to affect my renewing my license. So if I don't get this situated, it's gonna bite me in the ass. And over the years, I knew there was warrants that would come out over it, and unfortunately, I didn't have any warrants this time. But I'd go into Rhode Island, and I literally, guys, had spent 2 and 3 days in offices waiting 8 hours in line to find out this information, and then being told it was going to cost me. At one point, it was over $10,000. Another point, it was over $7,500. Guys, when I heard about this last month, I immediately called the Rhode Island DMV. I made an appointment with the Education Division, which today was my appointment. I thought it was Tuesday, but it was today. And this morning, thank God, I used my calendar. I set my alarm, and I got a reminder of it last night. And so I went down today. I had my appointment. My appointment was at 1:45. I got there at 12:45. I walked into the Rhode Island Registry, went up, showed them my appointment number. They sent me up to the 3rd floor. I literally 5 minutes, boom, my number was called. Told me what I had to do. I basically had to pay $1,600. I had to go back to the 1st floor, sign up for a class, and then go to the tribunal court, which is across the street, pay a $900 ticket, come back over, pay a $350 reinstatement, and guys, I was out of there by 1:15. I was there. I literally went to 3 different offices, 2 different buildings, saw 3 different hearings divisions, and paid $1,600, and I was out of there in a half hour. Where in the past, because I couldn't come at anything right, I had to try and do all these crazy shit, and I just cleared it all up. Now I've got to do I owe them 15 hours of community service, so I can do that in mass. As soon as I'm finished with this video, I'm going to look up online, find somewhere I can do my 15 hours community service. Tomorrow I'll register my class, and as soon as I finish my 15 hours community service, I go back to Rhode Island, turn in the paperwork, and they clear me, and I can bring that up to Boston and head off a whole huge headache that was something that's been hanging over my head for 27 years. Last time it was going to cost me 10 grand. This time, next time $7,500. Today it was only $1,600, and I paid it, and that's all a direct result, guys. I attribute that to being in alignment. And like people, when I was telling my family about it, they like, oh, you're going to be okay? I'm like, of course I'm going to be okay. I'm going to go down there, I'm just going to be honest, I'm going to tell them what happened, I'm going to say, listen, I'm here to straighten out, what do I got to do? And I have the resources. If it cost me $7,500 today, I could have paid that. It would have been terrible, but I could have done so if I had to. I'm incredibly grateful for every opportunity, and that is why my life continues to get better, guys. I don't have to hide from my past anymore. Whenever something comes up from my past, I'm willing to take it head on because I know every time I do, something good comes from it. Now I've got an unfettered opportunity to straighten out anything else that happens in my life. I don't have to worry about going to Intern Island. I don't have that overwhelming fear of every time I walk in the registry that it's going to pop up and I'm going to have a warrant, I'm going to get arrested. Like, I've known it was there all this time, and I was never willing. This time around, as soon as it was brought to my attention, I literally dropped what I was doing, made an appointment, and my appointment was up today, and it went amazingly well. Not only did it go incredibly well. I mean, yeah, it cost me $1,600, but guys, it was supposed to be $10,000. Like, that is a fraction. It's a beautiful, beautiful situation, and that's the way a lot of things go for me today, guys. Because up front, I'm honest, I'm faithful. I've turned my will over to my higher power, and I follow. I take action on every sign and synchronicity he sends me. Every opportunity I have to better myself, I take. Every opportunity I have to share my story and help somebody else, I jump on. And it's beautiful, guys. And that's why my life continues to expand and get better and better. And this is just, you have no idea the relief factor that comes with something that's been hanging over your head since 1997, knowing full well it's going to pop up at some point and cause a problem. And I just put it to bed. Now, granted, I said I'll follow through and do my community service. Big deal. All I can do is find, like, any animal hospital, animal shelter, any non-profit C3 organization in the state of Massachusetts willing to let me spend 15 hours with them, and that's over there. I'm going to get done next week, to be honest with you. I want this done and signed. But guys, can't tell you how good that made me feel today. I walked out of there after being there for a half hour going, last time I went to the Division of Operator Control in Rhode Island, if you weren't there by 11 o'clock in the morning, they locked the door because you had no hope of being seen before 5 o'clock. Like, that's crazy. I get there an hour early, only spent a half hour. I was out of there a half hour before my appointment even started and got all of it cleared up. And I was able to pay it today. Because I have the resources, because I'm behaving and I'm working hard and I'm saving my money and I'm being faithful, I'm being responsible, I'm being an upstanding member of the community. I'm looked at in such a different light today, guys, and I'm honored to live the life that I'm living and honored to be heading in the trajectory that I'm heading. Guys, that is the video of today. Seeds of faith, guys. Start sowing them now, because at harvest time, your life will just bloom. Guys, God loves you. I love you. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.